this whole idea of like, I'll wait till I'm older, I'll wait till next year, I'll wait till any waiting. Maybe it's just because how we grew up with our coach, like, there's no waiting. There's only action.
Hi, everyone. I'm Cyd Charisse.
And I'm David Bosher.
And you're listening to Destroy the Hairdresser,
where we teach you to salon differently. After years of searching, we finally found a software that does it all. Introducing Aura Salonware. With Aura, you have the simple tools to streamline your business, such as a card on file, settings for hourly pricing, and even station sharing options. Implement communication boundaries with clients by interacting directly through Aura. Finally, a software that takes your business as seriously as you do. If you're interested in this type of profit maximization, visit aurasalonware.com/DTH to receive special discounts and promos.
As a hairdresser, I know the struggle of managing your back bar, and that's where our friends at Salon Scale come to play. While you weigh your products with their app, Salon Scale automatically tracks your products used, making inventory management a breeze. Not to mention, they also save your formula. They are a digital solution for back bar management, and they really make it easy. You know we're both big on knowing your numbers, and Salon Scale does just that. Visit salonscale.com/DTH and use the code DTH10 at checkout for 10% off your first year. What is the biggest question we get as coaches from salon owners looking to join our program?
How do I motivate my team?
How do I motivate my team?
How do I get my team to do things that I don't want to do?
Yeah. How do I get them to work? How do I get them to sell more retail? How do I get them to
fold towels?
Fold towels. If you haven't listened to our towel episode from the beginning of the year, please pause right now. Go back. It's sometime between January and March. It's about towels. Go listen to it.
It's how to avoid folding towels. How to use your trauma to avoid folding towels.
Yes. That was a good title.
Motivation is not real. And I think that people need to realize that.
It's really toxic.
Motivation, what is required for someone to feel motivated is not a sustainable process. I remember watching, I think it was God. It was called the show God. It was called God.
It was a show?
Narrated by Morgan Freeman.
Ovs.
And he traveled around the world.
Yes!
Interviewing
that was so good. Different religions.
Yeah, and like interviewing people, and it was very great. It was amazing.
So good. Yeah.
But
or who is God, or what is God? Something like that. Yeah.
And he talked to a scientist who they were doing like studies in the brain, and they were talking about motivation and how like we use like prayer and meditation. We use like things to get us to a point where we will do something.
Yeah.
So like he was talking about there's this like arch in brain activity that when you're sitting on the couch even, and you're like, I need to do laundry, I need to do laundry, I need to do laundry. You're this little arch in your brain, like
just thinking about it,
like starts to build. But you aren't gonna do it until it hits a very specific part of the brain, which we would say, I got all of a sudden I felt motivated to do it. It's actually building through time. And what they found is that every person got up to do that thing when it hit that mark in their brain. But every person, it took different amount of time to get to that mark. And we use things like prayer and meditation and exercise. We use those things to help build us up to that mark. That's why some days you'll wake up.
Like as humans, like we connect to all those things.
Right. You'll wake up and you'll be like really motivated and you get like a bunch of things done. Or all of a sudden you have like a second wind. It's because that brain activity finally built up.
And it could take days too.
It can take days. It can take years. It depends on whatever it is. And it was just interesting that he was talking about it. And then they did some, the scientists had shown him some scans of people that pray and meditate and people that
create peace within internally.
Yeah. And then people that just exercise, like, and they all lit up the same part of the brain. And Morgan Freeman said something really interesting. He said, so that's scientifically that lit up part is God. And the scientist's like, yeah, that if you wanted to
have a scientific
if you wanted to see where God was scientifically, it's right there.
Whoa.
And so it was connected to motivation. But
I need to rewatch it because I don't remember that part.
But the interesting part was like the motivation it isn't motivation really. We wait for motivation to happen, or we think we have to get motivated. But there's a scientific process going on with the brain, and sometimes your brain isn't ready to do something, and so you won't do it.
That's also why we teach reactive systems too, because every staff member, every client, every business owner has a reactive system. And I think a lot of people go into business and they lump everyone to a box to do the same things, which comes from the factory mindset. We've talked about that in another episode. And when you remove that and you start to just identify one by one with each stylist on what they want, what their goals are, sometimes that sparks what you're talking about, that motivation, which will then eventually result in getting it done.
If you want to know how to spark motivation, put yourself in a painful situation.
For sure.
Put
yourself in a situation where you have no other choice.
Exactly. And we talked about this before in another episode about risk-taking. They're all connected.
Mm-hmm.
But when you put yourself in a situation that's painful, motivation shows up very quickly. Because your brain, even that brain activity has to speed up.
Yeah.
Right? You have to make a decision quickly. You have to do something quickly. And the point is that we've kind of built a life of comfort. We think comfort's the goal. So we build a life of comfort, and then our motivation flattens because...
Which comfort is restricting. It's sometimes soul-crushing. Sometimes it's depressing. Sometimes it's all those things. So I don't understand where that became the goal. I've actually lived more fulfilling life being uncomfortable than I ever have staying comfortable. You know, I think about, and I'm sure a lot of people listening right now probably haven't raised their prices in a year, 2 years,
more.
3 years, 10 years, 5 years. And I challenge you with like, why? Why not? You know?
I mean, I don't have to interview anyone. I know why they won't.
Yeah. But
my clients believe me.
Mm-hmm.
You know, where I live, won't be supported where I live.
Yeah.
It's too expensive. I'm already at the top. Like, whatever excuse that you think you originally uniquely have, you don't.
Well, also, I think the solution for that is put yourself in a situation, obviously a risk, something uncomfortable, which becomes an opportunity that it's non-negotiable. You have to raise, like, I'm buying a house, or I'm having another kid, or I'm buying a car. Maybe I want to open a business, or maybe my family wants to go on a trip, or, you know, whatever it is that when it becomes something like, oh shit, like if I don't make more money.
How many people have we met that have told us, I just want to pay my bills?
Oh, that's enough? That's just enough? Because it's
more
it's
than
never
not,
enough.
that is...
Because your bills are ever flowing. Expenses happen.
But more
There's
than
no
not,
life
that's
with
what
that.
people, before they really get into coaching, before they change their
Or
mindset.
they limit it. I just want to make $6,000 a month. And I'm like, well, what does that cover? Well, that's all my bills plus, like, you know, groceries and gas, and then like $1,000 for fun. You know, and that's a huge income.
Yeah, it's great.
But why limit that? Like, why aren't we thinking limitless? Like, even when I think about our business, I'm like, I want to attract a limitless amount of students, because I have gotten caught up in doing the numbers and thinking, even when I was a hairdresser, even as a you know, co-founder of a salon business or a salon coaching business, I get trapped in that, like, I just need this many clients this month. I just need this many students to sign up. And I started to really work with my mindset on that with my coach, of just really working on, like, this experience, this discomfort, this uncomfortable emotion that I'm putting myself in is going to attract a limitless amount of clients, a limitless amount of students. Because I want to make so much money that I, in this moment in time, can't even fathom it.
And now a word from our sponsors.
We have partnered with Hairstory, a product line that is good for our clients, our planet, and our bank account. Have you heard of New Wash? It's like a shampoo, but actually good for your hair. New Wash is a cleansing cream that cleans and conditions without the harsh foams and damaging detergents found in traditional shampoos. Hairstory does things differently, creating more conscious options that respect the environment and your hair ecosystem. Ready to try New Wash for free? Visit hairstory.com/DTH to get pro access today.
I think when it comes to motivation, people... And also, my brain is like kind of, all these things are coming up. Like, I remember a lot of people would say, oh, well, motivation doesn't, hairdressers aren't motivated by money. I'm like, I don't know who said that. Because I am.
There
But
are
also,
some people out there that have reactive systems that actively make them avoid money. So
Right.
they might have been comparing it on that very small percentage of our industry.
But doesn't that still mean they're motivated by money?
Yeah.
Reactively,
Yeah.
they avoid it, but it's still motivation by money. And I think the idea of, what motivates you when someone says what motivates you, walk out of that class. Because it's essentially like, how can we trick your brain into working more? How can we trick your brain into getting
With
to
no
the next
follow-through.
level? Motivation is a really addicting process. Motivation is like putting a carrot in front of you. I picture like a stick with a carrot.
On a treadmill?
And the rabbit is trying to get the carrot, but the rabbit can never get the carrot because it's always too far in front of it.
Yeah.
If you take the carrot away and you put the rabbit in an uncomfortable situation where it has to find a carrot, that is not only motivational, inspirational. That rabbit will feel fulfillment from the process. That rabbit will find the food that it needs. I think we think motivation is about putting something in front of us, a goal, an idea, a person, something in front of us that we may never really achieve, but that we want to get towards, and we don't really get towards it. We just become exhausted by it.
And sometimes we get exhausted just by thinking about it, and that becomes so daunting and big that it's all-encompassing,
Yeah.
I think something that, again, this all stems back to just having support and having a coach or a mentor. But our coach, our teacher, I'll be like, well, I want to do this, next year. And they're like, well, why not right now? And of course, I come up with every excuse, just like all of you. We're human too, even though we teach this. And then we get to the point of but why wait? And I'm like, why am I waiting? Wait a minute. I'm waiting because it's scary. I'm waiting because I have to do something. I'm waiting because it's uncomfortable. I'm waiting because I have nothing to lose if I don't do it. But instead of thinking, what can I lose? I have nothing to lose, so why hurry it up? I should be thinking, what am I stopping? What am I blocking? What am I missing out in the future? What am I making future me lose?
And we are losing time. So,
yeah, y'all. I don't know if everybody knows, but we're slowly dying here. We don't talk about it very often, but it is happening.
I remember, I think I've shared this story a lot, but my teacher telling me, you're not going to do those things when you're older.
You won't.
You're not going to...
I'm already tired.
You're not going to travel the world once you're older. You're not going to learn a new language when you're older. You're not going to buy that house when you're old. Nothing is going to happen when you're older. It's going to get harder because you have more to lose. The risks become bigger. And our bodies are tired. Our bodies start to break down. So this whole idea of I'll wait till I'm older, I'll wait till next year, I'll wait till any waiting, maybe just because how we grew up with our coach, there's no waiting.
No.
There's only action.
I think that's why midlife crises happen, because it's not proactive. And that's why it's called a midlife crisis, because it's so reactive.
It's that part of the brain that
finally says,
we're going to do something.
We're going to do something. And it looks to the outside world so reactive because this is pent up motivation for so long that it's finally, and it usually breaks out, in society. We have kids at a certain age and then the kids grow up. And so it always falls around 40s and 50s where someone's just they pop off. Yeah.
I'm going to buy a boat. I'm going to be a sailor. I'm going to sail the world.
Yeah. I'm I'm going to buy, my wife and I were talking about right now. She's like, I want a boat. I was like, let's go fucking get a boat.
Yeah.
We have nowhere to put the boat.
Right.
But why not? And you know what that's going to do? It's going to motivate me to make more money.
You're going to find a way to use it.
I'm going to find a way to use it. I'm going to live a life. Why? She's like, they're only $8,000 and we could do this and do that. Do we have $8,000 to spend on a boat? Absolutely freaking not.
$8,000 plus all the maintenance of the boat.
For sure. I'm we're looking at massive amounts. But, sometimes just a relish in that idea and even having a partner and a friend, to not shoot it down. Will we go buy a boat? Probably not. But just to talk about it. But we plan to
But I will tell you this. If you do buy a boat, you will be on the water faster than if you didn't buy one.
Yeah.
And I think that's what we're kind of saying is I when it comes to motivating your staff, I remember a lot of people be like, how do I get my staff to clean up after themselves? I go, you don't.
Mm-hmm.
You don't clean up after them. Well, then who does? They do. But what if they don't? They will. Well, how long do I have to? Well, what about I don't want my salon to be messy. Well, then you're never going to get to a point where the pain where they have to experience the pain of their own mess. And until you allow people to experience that, they're not going to change it.
Yeah.
And I think that's where people, if you're a salon owner, if you're a parent, but if you're a salon owner,
extremely relevant if you're a parent, yeah.
You want people to change, but you won't allow for the environment to be proactively painful enough for them to have to take responsibility and to create the change. So if you want to motivate them, stop doing for them what you want them to do for themselves.
I would say also work on yourself. Clean your own space. Do your own social media. If you're selling products, sell your own products. Make your own money. Raise your own prices.
Right.
Because they're watching you, whether you think they are or not.
And that's not motivational. That's inspirational.
It's inspirational. That's where we want to live. We did, I think we should do it again one day. Maybe next time. We did an episode on the 4 phases of success. And this is something really that resonates in our program. And it was actually a really popular episode. It's up there on our list of high views and listens and downloads. But it was sometime last year. It's called 4 Phases of Success. It piggybacks off everything we're saying right now, and I suggest you go listen to it.
You know, I was, again, speaking of like motivation, inspiration. So Josh, my partner, he goes to Barry's, like the gym thing. And so he goes to Barry's, and he has been training. He lost, I think, almost 30 pounds.
He looks great.
And everyone in our building.
He's a zaddy.
He's a zaddy. Everyone in our building is so surprised by how he looks that they all signed up for Barry's. 3 people.
It's called influencing.
And what's interesting to me is like that's inspirational, not motivational.
Now they have to go there and do the work.
Exactly. The motivation isn't what got them going, because we all had motivation to go to the gym. But the minute they saw a result in someone else, that inspiration is what got them to do it. So you can't motivate your team, but you can inspire them. And I think that's kind of where we try to get people. Motivation doesn't work.
Mm-mm.
But giving people an example or wanting to emulate something, right? Like if you're a salon owner and you want people to clean up after themselves and you're only clean up after yourself and your clients are getting to experience a clean space and how you're doing things, what's going to happen is the person next to you is going to go, I have to start cleaning up too. I have to like up my game. But if you're trying to motivate them to do it without them having the pain and being able to see the benefit of doing it, it's not going to stick. And I think that's the important part. Motivation doesn't work because it doesn't stick. You have to keep doing it. So you have to be more inspirational.
Next time on Destroy the Hairdresser, the podcast.
I really think business is one of the most spiritual practices that we have.
I agree. There's so many opportunities to transform, ignite, inspire, be influential.